Well, I think I'm live. I'm on OBS tonight, so we'll see what happens. But I want to let me get my stream up just to make sure. As I've always had issues with OBS, and I would really like to make sure this video isn't a waste of anybody's time to the extent that that can be prevented when it comes to my videos. I might get a little bit of feedback here. Let me see what happens. I'm trying to get the statistics up. Seeing if this actually is going to work or not. There's the feedback. All right, I think we have control of it. All right, so I'm going to try a little bit of OBS fun today. I got to figure out where I've got my screens at because I haven't done a lot of this. There we go. All right, so carnivore diet update. I think I've got mostly good news to report. Now I've had, since it's been about 5-6 days since I did the last video, and I've had my share of discomfort along the way. But this isn't necessarily supposed to be an overnight fix. But I have been super productive. And while my back has plagued me with pain over the last number of days, I've gotten a lot done, which is more than I can say for the last few months. So it started, and here's where we're going to have some fun. We're going to try to switch screens here. It started with the construction of these shelves, which are for those like Home Depot and wherever totes. And Melissa found these, through Facebook groups or whatever, and that's a kind of a cool idea. So I kind of built it as minimally as I could, just 2x4 on the vertical, 2x2 for the slats, and then 1x4 for everything else. And we cleaned out the shed. I cut all 72 of these boards and drilled all of them, a hole in each side to go in the 2x4, and put all the screws in. And we built those in, really it could have been one day, but we had, work obligations that cut into our days. But we put these up basically in a 2-day period. We went from a mess to getting all the wood, cutting it out, building it, and standing it up and loading it with about 32 of these containers, which some of them are pretty dadgum heavy. So needless to say, I'm pretty proud, although it did bother my back for a couple of days. I hurt after doing that. Another thing I did, this was actually the week prior, so before I before I did the last video, just before that, in my boat, I installed this black looking power supply. I had already installed it down below that little shelf, that silver box with the blue. I had that mounted up above the Renogy on the top left, and then I had this black power supply down in that hole, but it was obstructing airflow. So I went and I measured it and took it all apart, took all of the other connections down here were moved to the left, and built the shelf and installed it and remounted everything so that it would have fresh airflow from the vent that's cut into the door that we close there, and then the hot air goes straight into the air conditioning. And what this is for is my boat has a 12-volt air conditioner. I've got lithium phosphate batteries and a solar panel. That rover box on the left is the solar charge controller, and it puts power into the battery. The engine alternator puts power in the battery. And if you're at a marina and you want to plug in, or if I'm at home and I want to plug in, this black box will charge the battery and run the air conditioner at the same time. So that was working in a small area, having to bend down to work on it. That was rough on my back, but I did it. So I'm pretty daggum happy that I was able to do that. And in addition, I managed to lug this 60-pound solar panel over onto my boat and installed it. Did all the mounting and everything. Now the front is actually not mounted yet. I'm waiting on some parts to get here to finish the front mounting bracket. So, and then the two small solar panels are actually the old ones that are coming off the boat, and I just left them there so they would be something this solar panel could sit on instead of scuffing up. I don't care about the solar panels. But anyway, that was a big job. I got it up there by myself and mounted it, so it was pretty pretty happy with that too. So I've been getting some things done, but since the last video, another thing I did was, this is my, I haven't shown this to anybody, but I decided a few years back, so I was having a lot of problems, doing things I wanted to do on a larger scale. And because I got to find this picture. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I found it a little while ago, but I can never find it. Like when I'm looking for it, I can't find it. But when I'm browsing, I'll find this one pictures folder, and I think I know where it's at. I'm going to find it really quick. Anyway, while I'm looking for it, the diet. So I've had a few cheats. I can't lie to you. I've had 3 cheat meals now. I've been on the diet since the 13th. So 17, 18, 18 and 6. So in 24 days approximately, I've had 3 cheat meals. So I'm averaging 1 per week. Unfortunately, it's more than I wanted, but it is what it is, and I'm having a really difficult time. Where in the world is that? Oh well, no idea. I don't think where else it could be at on the computer. Anyway, so yesterday I had regular spaghetti, the evil pasta, with meat sauce, and it was pretty good. I decided to partake of some garlic rolls that they included with it, and they were draped in margarine, and I immediately tasted it and could not eat them. I could not eat it. Well, they had brought us 2 baskets of bread, and Melissa said, check the other one because it doesn't look like it has as much on it, and it didn't. It was mostly garlic, but oh, it's so disgusting. Why not just use real butter? But whatever. So anyway, man, I would love to find this picture. I'm upset because I literally just looked at it a little while ago. In fact, when I found it, it was when I was searching to upload a thumbnail. So maybe I can find it that way. It's really strange how I can't. This is the most elusive picture I've ever had. I just can't seem to find the dadgum thing when I want it. So I got to go back to my story here in a second. So anyway, we had a little cheat meal, and I checked my weight loss this morning, and it definitely stalled. It actually went up a little bit. I might have gone up half a pound overnight even. Not surprising, but I literally cannot just eat meat. I'm sorry, but I can't do it. And I've tried. If I don't have some kind of a cheat meal, if I don't have a normal meal at least once a week, is where I'm at right now, then I can't do it. And I'm disappointed at that. But I just can't do it. And I mean, I'm going to tell you guys the way it is. I mean, you see videos on here, and a lot of people seem to do really well with it, or at least they say they do. But I cannot eat just meat. Especially, I could not just eat steaks every day and every night. And those of you that can, hats off to you. Maybe I've been doing this for too long, the wrong way. But I enjoy eating. I enjoy my meals, and I'm trying to make myself do less of that. And I'll have to admit, other than the pizza that I had, the first cheat meal I had, which was just off the charts good, the other meals have not been as good. So the other meal I had was hibachi. And I didn't really want it that much, but we went and we did it. And so I had some rice that was disgusting. Probably because they made it in vegetable oil, almost guaranteed a seed oil. And the sauce was pretty good. It had sugar in it. I didn't have much, just very sparse. So I didn't touch the vegetables. I had chicken with a little bit of hibachi sauce. That was the only good thing about the whole meal, was the hibachi sauce. The chicken, I didn't enjoy it. The rice, like I said, it just had a bad flavor to it. So we're going to do it again, but we're going to do it here instead of at a restaurant. And I'll make it, out of all the best of every ingredient. And I'll have a little bit of rice, and I'll be okay with it. So, all right, let's see if we can find this, fellas. I got to go on to the next thing. So I'm trying to, right now, oh, I found it. How about that? Where are you at, picture? Huh. Interesting. Let's see if that's where it's at. It says it's right here in the pictures folder, but I'll be danged if I see it. Nope. Very interesting. All right, let me try another thing. It's almost like... One more place. Aha, I think we're there. There it is. I don't know why it won't show up unless I manually navigate to the pictures folder as a JPG. It's everything. Now, the fun part is, how are we going to get that where we can see it? Let's try moving. I'm an IT guy too, imagine that. It's literally in my pictures folder, but it's not. So I'm going to paste it. And it disappears again. Oh, there we go. All right, heck yeah. So, now we're going to have to upload that bad boy. Because I'm just showing you guys, because my Photos window, Google Photos window, is what I'm using to show you guys things, and I don't have to deal with OBS and training it how to find. Now, this is the next thing. This picture is ancient. We're talking 40 years ago. I wonder what date I actually created it. Well, it says added today. All right, so we're in business. This will be a special treat. Hope I'm not dragging this out too far. But anyway, here we go. What's our time? I'm trying to keep this video short as ever. Is there not a timer in OBS? I don't think there is. All right, well, there's going to be, you're going to get what you're going to get. Here we go. Is it going to work? It is. So, there I am, 40 years ago. This would have been right around 1983, 41 years ago. Summertime, school's out. These people came around with a Lionel train display, and I was completely blown away with it. And so I would go to the mall and I would spend all my time hovering around this display watching people run it. And I got to be friends with the people. They came every year to the mall. And they said, would you like to run the train? I said, well, heck yeah. So I got in there. They gave me the engineer hat. And they put the little bandana around my neck. And I ran that train. And I would not give up that position. So they came several years in a row. And I think it was in 84 on my 13th birthday. I remember it very well. That was the year New Coke came out. And it was the year that I discovered I was extremely allergic to aspartame, which is what they used to sweeten the new Diet Coke at that time. And of course, then they put the corn syrup in, and they went back to the Coke Classic, which didn't have the sugar in it, and the rest is history. But I got deathly ill, and I was unable to run the train the rest of that time. So they came back the next year, and they asked me if I wanted to run the train that the people ride on. So I did that, and then I ended up going over to Albany, Georgia with them, and ran the train there, and was in charge of hiring, the free labor to run the Lionel display. So it was a really fun experience. But the point I'm trying to make is that I do have a history with trains, and now that I'm old and gray, and I saw myself, having a lot of issues with being able to do what I was doing, which was building race cars and other things. And I thought, well, I think I'm going to take this opportunity to revisit trains, because, if I'm hurting, well, at least I can do that. And I've never done anything with them other than just having them as a kid and running that display. But anyway, I put together here a couple of years ago, I put together a 4x8 table and styrofoam on it, and I started collecting train supplies. And basically, when we travel, we go to antique stores and things of that nature. But I found the most right here. There was a big pile of debris in a yard next to a yard sale. And I went to it and I said, what are you doing with that? And they said, that's all being taken away. And sitting out there was this, it wasn't a train display. It was a roughly HO scale display. And it had buildings, it had so many things, people, I mean hundreds of people, animals, just all kinds of stuff that train people would go for. And they said, take it all. So I don't know how many buildings I got from that, but these are not all of these, but a lot of these did come from there. And some of them were pretty nice, especially some of these here in the middle. And there's a whole bunch on the shelves back here that don't, weren't HO or weren't of the quality or whatever. But I bought this track set one day, and I bought some cars and a steam locomotive and DCC controller, and very slowly, I set up the track and I put the train on it, and long story short, I got it running, but I didn't build this until I got here. And after I got here, it was during the sea years when you couldn't get supplies and they didn't have the purple foam. So I had to use this horrible white foam, which I hate. And I laid out this 4x8 display just to do some things. I 3D printed, curves, and just played around with the idea of doing my own curves. I've got a static gun, and way back here you can't really see it very well in this picture, but I did some static grass, and it's the first time I've done any of it. So I never wanted a 4x8 display. The issue was that I wanted to learn how to do some of these things, and I thought I had a picture of the farm, and I probably do somewhere. I'm not going to worry about it. I don't want to draw this video out any longer. Anyway, no, I don't want you doing that. So I took a couple of pictures of those photos I just showed. Took those a couple days ago. Moral of the story is that I tore all this apart, moved everything out from that side of the building, and this table was designed already to be sidewall bench instead of a table, so I split it apart and set it in place, and I'm pretty proud that I did all that work after building those shelves in the same couple of day period. Now, yes, I paid a price on my back. Anyway, just for fun, I'm going to run a quick video that I took from one of the few good angles of my setup with my 54 Bel Air sitting there in the background. So anyway, a little bit of fun with it, but I have all the buildings are lit up. I'm sure I took a picture of that, but I think I did. I'll show you this real quick for the train geeks out there. All right, so down here you'll see a light, and on the kind of the left side or the right side there, and you'll see there's two lights out and one that's on, and those are some light technology I use at my house for Christmas lights. And so I've wired those in to all the buildings. Actually have lights, but they're not all on. I can set the brightness, change the color, turn them on and off at will. This is a 3D printed diner that I made off of some plans that I got off of one of the sites you get 3D printed stuff from. And the scene is basically, it could be 50s into the early 60s. I want to be able to have steam and diesel whenever I do this, but it's going to be pretty cool what I plan to do with it. But it's a very slow build. It's just a side hobby that I picked up, that I figured, maybe I can do that if I can't wrench on the cars. And we'll do one more video just because. Let me see if I can find it. I think this one here will work. One of the buildings that I found in that trash pile, and I painted it up. So I may do some more train videos down the road. I'm gonna do a like a light box type display, so it's gonna have black cover over it, and there's going to be a kind of a narrow, probably like a 2-foot area. So there'll be black panels below, black panels above to contrast with the lighting of the scene. I really like the way those look, and that's my plan. And it's going to be roughly, I believe, 12 feet by 10 and a half, something in that range. But moving on to some other things that I've done. So I had to take a day off. You guys saw the video from the jam. Went up to this jam session and planned to just kind of sit around and recline and meet. I knew some of the people, but meet the rest of the people. And, I brought my banjo, but I wasn't planning on playing it because I was hurting really bad. But, it didn't take very long. I sat in there, and one of the people that I knew, he hands me a Stelling banjo and says, "Here, play this." So I went out to my car and got my banjo and got my picks out. And I sat and played that for a bit, and then he ended up playing my banjo. And he was playing bass while I was playing his banjo. And he looked over and says, "Do you play bass?" And I said, "Well, not really. I've never played it in a jam. I've got a little U bass and I practice it." And he said, "That's good enough." So he hands me the stand-up bass. So, I'm over there standing up for a while with my back killing me. And I'm trying to figure out how to play this dang bass, which I've barely done. But I got it figured out. And anyway, long story short, I ended up playing the bass for about 2 hours, standing there. I was sitting later on. But anyway, this is that same display area. So I cleaned all that out, split the bench, got it in place. And later I laid out down here on the floor the new bench work area that I'm going to do. So that was a lot of work. It was a lot of work cleaning all that up, splitting these apart, and then measuring everything out and planning it. So yeah, again, I'm pretty... here we go, 21 minutes. All right, I'm reaching my limit of time. I'm sorry, I always go over on these things. But if you didn't see the video, there's the final... That's the final layout that I'm going to do, I guess, with a bridge of some sort across the opening that swings up or out. But if you didn't see the video, basically it's a coffee shop over in Santa Rosa Beach, and there I am struggling to play the bass. And these guys I'm telling you, they were all spectacular. And if you want to learn to play bluegrass, the best way to do it is to be around people that are amazing at playing. And, unfortunately, I haven't been able to do that very much. So I'm hoping that with some luck and this diet, that's what I'm going to be able to do is go and sit in these things and actually do them without killing myself. So I didn't get any pictures today, but what I did do was yesterday, I'm going to find these pictures real quick. So, and I don't have a picture of it right here. Yeah, I could find it, but we don't have time. So this is my 49, and the rear axle, you can see the arms hanging down there. I had taken the rear axle out last year, like late summer, early fall, and cut all of the brackets off and welded them back on at a better position. There was a lot of work involved. Let me see if I can find it real quick. It was a big deal. I mean, it took me a while. Well, there's one of the pictures anyway. So I had to figure out the angles, cut all these brackets off, and then re-weld them all back on and repaint everything. And that picture was taken in January. That was when I got around to getting really close to welding it back. But, if I go back, just to tell you how bad it is, when did I take that rear end out of the car? Let's see if I can find it. I mean, months go by. These are things I would have done before in one day. Don't get an autoimmune condition. It will wreck your life. Let's see if I can find it. It doesn't really matter. I guess I'm probably wasting time here. I'm all the way back to September. So that last picture, nothing happened to that from at least September through January. And I believe I originally pulled it out in July, and then I started hurting really bad, and it's just kind of sat there ever since. Yeah, the last picture of the car driving was mid-July. So yeah, we're coming up on a year that car has been off the road. And it's such a fun car. I really hate that it's been sitting around for so long. But that's it, sitting out there at the marina. Anyway, so I have a vibration. I had to pull the rear end out and change the angle of it to try to improve that. So that's why I took it off the road. Other than that, it was driving fine. But it's back in the car now. That's the point I'm trying to get to. And it went from sitting on the ground to the car being ready to drive in 2 days. And so